There's nothing to see here. Yes, I forgot to pick up that piece of paper in the last video. And yes, we have to watch this animation every single time we return here. We can't really do much more at the moment apart from analyze this piece of paper. What, solve? Okay, so you can actually solve it without resorting to the analysis.
I'm at a loss, Watson. Perhaps Mycroft can be more forthcoming.
My expectations are not high on that count, Holmes. You might do as well on your own.
We're going to do the official route. What? Oh, I see. That's not very helpful.
I believe I understand the instructions.
So, I believe that we need to... I believe we can solve this with heat and water.
Note the red tint, Watson. Mycroft used sympathetic ink of cobalt and saltpeter. Water sets up a chemical reaction, and heat causes the writing to reappear. It's pure Poe. The message reads, "See books in Greek."
Really? It was just 3 words, if I remember correctly. Anyway.
Mycroft is a cautious man, but this message denotes more than prudence.
Another layer of security. It's clear he feared foul play. But what does the message mean?
See books in Greek? I'm not certain, but I've been a dunce. He has obviously prepared something close at hand. We must return to the source of this mystery. Let us resume our investigation, Watson.
I'm prepared to follow you anywhere, Holmes.
And yes, when you leave the flat, you have to watch this animation every single time. Well, these are the Greek books. I'm sure that there is a link somewhere, but if we right click on the Bible, we actually have 3 more options.
course, the beginning. Genesis. Who died but was not born? Adam. I am a goose.
More invisible ink.
Aha! He's done it again. If one puzzle is good, two must be better. We have what we need, Watson. Let us return to the friendly confines.
A blank piece of paper? Surely you overreach yourself, Holmes. Perhaps you should sit for a moment and collect your wits.
My wits, as you are pleased to call them, have been collecting dust, Doctor. Let us proceed. The currently invisible must be made patent.
It seems like the conversations in both rooms overlap slightly.
I'm faltering, Watson, wasting time. Perhaps Mycroft will be more informative.
Whatever you say, Holmes. Bart's is not far. I am not hopeful.
Oh. I'm sure people won't mind me cutting some of this out, especially with the travelling times. The walking is pretty slow, as you've noticed, and the default animations with some of these is quite long and unnecessary after you've seen them 2, 3, 4 times. So, we're back here, and now we need to analyse this.
As I recall, Poe liked Zaff and a diluted mixture of aqua regia for sympathetic ink.
True. A green tint would prove it, but I don't believe Mycroft used an acid. It might be simple rice water.
How can you prove it?
The proper vapor should provide us with an answer.
And this part is going to be a bit of an information overload, but before then we need to make some rice water. Do we have any rice? I don't think so, but we need some vapor, which I'm sure water will help with that. And I believe we need the iodine.
Yes, rice water by all means. Here it is, Watson, gradually appearing. I'll read it.
Now get ready for a lot of information at once.
Sherlock, you've likely heard all of what follows at the Diogenes. I prepared a digest as much to assuage my anxiety as for your convenience. May you have better reason to consult it than indulgence of my suspicious nature, or that its source is unavailable for comment. Allow me to re-emphasize the central points. 1. The moment the formula was discovered missing, my committee mounted a confidential inquiry. 2. Without substantive progress, the members inexplicably moved to adjourn. They would have terminated the inquiry altogether had I not intervened. Given their recalcitrance, my hopes are not high that we shall meet again. 3. Items 1 and 2 give rise to 2 questions. Who stole the formula, and why did the committee quash the investigation? I haven't a clue to the answers. Regrettably, my committee members must be considered as prime suspects in both matters. They are Lord Dennis Lawton, Mr. Horace Silverbridge, Sir Avery Fanshawe, and Mr. Philip Bledsoe. After initially promoting an investigation, they suddenly claimed that no theft had been proven, and that no vital information had been compromised. This is false. In unfriendly hands, this formula could have catastrophic consequences. Presuming the members are not traitors, idiots, or dupes, are they being coerced to make this patently ridiculous and dangerous claim? If so, by whom, and to what purpose? With respect to the theft, do not neglect ministry clerks, Thomas Pratt and Eldridge Whitney, and a feisty but engaging char named Agnes Ratchet. All 7 have sufficient means and opportunity to remove the document from its restricted room. You must discreetly discover the motive for the theft. I remind you that you have no official standing, and I must insist on complete confidentiality. For the moment, even the ministry must be off limits. Personnel should remain ignorant of your purpose, you may use no police resources, and you have no obvious leverage with the committee. Your inquiry must be organized by my suspicions and your own observations and deductions. I trust they will be sufficient. You've often found my suspicious nature amusing and my penchant for clandestine measures absurd. So they may be, but as my current misgivings have devastating implications, I've taken these precautions in the event they may be well-founded. Mycroft. P.S. Did I mention that Dewar is securely hidden in Bermondsey, typically oblivious? At last, Watson, we have material facts. We have relevant knowledge and a structure on which to pin it.
We have a lot of names as well.
This matter is highly confidential, Watson. Are you continuing your journal entries?
Posterity deserves a record of our inquiry, Holmes, even if the current generation must be ignorant of it.
I'm acquainted with none of the suspects. Do you know any of them?
Lawton's is the only familiar name, but I'm not sure why. Perhaps we could discreetly trace them from the ministry.
For now, the ministry is off limits, and police inquiries are, of course, out of the question. This summary will shape our investigation. We must deal with Mycroft's suspicions without the assistance of other agencies. Kelly's might locate some of the suspects. Have you seen it?
Invaluable volume. It's around here somewhere, perhaps on the tea table. A team of archaeologists and a minor excavation might unearth it.
No, we know where it is. We've seen it before.
Mycroft's behavior is emblematic of 2 poles of his character. He is perspicacious and lazy.
What do you mean, Holmes?
He was perceptive and rigorous to the point where his analysis would have required physical effort. He suspected danger and took precautions. He prepared an encoded briefing. He called for assistance. But now he lies in hospital because he miscalculated the danger to himself. And that he did because it would have inconvenienced him to act upon the accurate calculation. Typical.
What of these other precautions? Who is Dewar?
Professor James Dewar is a chemist at the University of London. I suspect he is involved in either the invention or the perfection of the explosives formula Mycroft mentions.
Why hide him in Bermondsey?
A formula is often more by way of signpost for a mixture than an explicit recipe. Mycroft may have reasoned that the inventor of the complex formula was at risk from those who stole the formula.
Should we not check on him?
Indeed we must, but he's not first on my list. Mycroft has already done what he could for Dewar. Mycroft's list of the potential crimes missed it by 1.
Yes, I see. He didn't consider someone might try to kill him. Given his other suspicions, the committee members are obvious candidates.
Neglect of the obvious must always be an error, Doctor. While I doubt their direct involvement, the crimes are certainly related. They may feed off one another.
We have a 3-headed investigation. Who stole the formula and why? Who terminated the investigation and why? And who tried to kill Mycroft?
For the moment, I won't displace my attempt to find Mycroft's assailant with the other matters.
Yes, we have seen this before. Well, we have 3 names for now. I'm sure that will be more than enough to go on. Well, for the moment at least.
Return to the hunt, eh, Watson?
As you say, Holmes, return by all means.
How may I help you, gentlemen?
I will let you know momentarily. Now, why can't we hit other people? I'm sure that will help us in certain situations a bit more easier. Okay. Enough looking around.
Fetch Lord Lawton. I must speak to him immediately.
I am not a dog, sir, and Lord Lawton is not at home.
When will he be available?
His lordship's agenda is not a matter of public record. You may leave your card if you wish.
Why have some of the furnishings been allowed to deteriorate?
Want of money, of course. The present lord's personal habits have impoverished us and ruined our reputation.
I'm sorry, Jenkins. It must be a sore trial for you. Would you describe me as a tactful person, Watson?
That is not the first adjective that springs to mind, though you might learn tact. Dame Experience is the best teacher, though we often suffer by her tutelage.
I am always available at 221B Baker Street.
Well done, Holmes. It's nice of you to apologise.
If I was offensively abrupt, I apologize. This is not a social call.
I'm not surprised. Few come here for pleasure anymore.
Please inform his lordship that Dr. Watson and I would be grateful for a discreet word. We have a critical matter to discuss with him.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. I'll see if he's at home.
I guess we are being ignored right now. Although we are being pretty rude.
No, my lord, I will not. Do you require constant supervision, Mr. Holmes?
Sorry, just curious.
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, my lord.
My position requires further reflection. Billiards is fascinating, don't you think?
Go on, Holmes, you can do it. Okay. Maybe not.
At my brother's request, I'm looking into the disappearance of the formula from the ministry.
And as a courtesy to your brother, I interrupt my leisure to receive you, but you abuse civility. The committee eventually judged that so-called disappearance to be unworthy of our attention. Evidently not dissuaded by our good sense, you come here to waste my time.
I could understand it. After investigation and due deliberation, you had concluded that nothing untoward had occurred. But such was not the case. Why was the inquiry so precipitously and inconclusively terminated?
I won't be cross-questioned by you, Mr. Holmes, on this or any other subject.
Are you aware that Mycroft has been injured in an explosion?
I'm sorry, but that's hardly my affair.
I think an attempt was made on his life. The blast was related to the disappearance of the formula.
It's the nature of your business to think so, isn't it? Conspiracy theories are mother's milk to the consulting detective.
Are you purposely offensive or merely obdurate?
It is not my intention to be either. But if I am, it does not concern me. You have no position, no standing, and no authority.
Do you recall that gouty old fellow from Hampshire, Watson? Kept gerbils?
I do, Holmes. His affliction was so advanced, we swore he could chalk his billiard cue with his knuckles.
Very economical, I suppose. We know Lawton doesn't want to talk. We don't know why.
An accurate, though not particularly helpful observation.
Has the subject closed his mouth? He may be more forthcoming on less volatile topics.
Besides which fork to use with the fish course?
A touch, Watson. A distinct touch, for all his information may be worth.
Yeah, there's not much more we can do here. We have other people we can actually pay a visit towards. At least 2 more names at the moment. I don't think Jenkins has anything more to say to us. No. Okay. Time to go.